the Sony A7S Mark II. Call this Bang and Low Light. Here we've got the cock, and here you can see where the black space would come, because it's not real gun, doesn't have it, and the shell would fly out. So this is a very collaborative shot, I guess. Irina did the motion for the shell casing coming up and coming out, 3D modeling, since she'd done something quite similar on her rather compositing shot in year 2, and she wanted to help out. Why not? She's good at this shit. Carl prepped the shot for her, so he stabilized the track and gave it to her so she didn't have to deal with a moving image. It was stabilized, so therefore he'd done the track, and I'd reapplied that as a match move afterwards, so it moved again. And originally Jess was going to comp in this, where am I? It's sort of a black looking area, let me just go, where the gap would be, because obviously there would be a hole where the shell would come out. But she had a little trouble with it, so Carl took it over, which, from what I gather from his script, yeah, you know, some alphas, some Daleks, some masks. Basically just putting the space in here and then rotating back on parts of his gun. And then use this bit of stock footage for this bit of shell. So that, when it comes back, because there should be a pin that obviously hits the new bullet. I zoom it in. I can't see it because of the other masks. Let's disable a couple little bits here. Okay, disable all of it here. Alright, there we go. Got it here. It's a little blurred out defocus. But it's basically, he's using it as a reference point of what would hit the new bullet once it cocks into the barrel. And then, like I said, just rotoed the rest of the gun back on top of this little hole, clean plate, whatever you want to call it. And then here we have the shell, which is new for me because I've never actually dealt with separate render passes in Nuke. So, quick learning curve, had a couple of hours to do this basically. So it was basically diffuse, didn't really do anything in the shot. Indirect fuse also didn't do anything in this shot, so it was mainly specular and indirect specular I played with. A little bit of shadow, a little bit of mastering at the end. But basically the process was to bring in the multi-pass, which held everything of Irina's nice bullet, which she modeled and animated. We're not going to see fuck. Oh, come on, show me something. Show me something. Here we go. We've got a bullet coming in right now. There we go. Cock in, fly out. And Carl rendered out. So those are different passes. Well, here I think I have a beauty pass, which we use as an alpha. Not that I did use it in the end, but yeah. See it a little better. That is the bullet. So the case was separating all the different passes, so using shuffle to just bring out diffuse, specular, indirect diffuse, indirect specular, specular, shadow, and so on. There was a motion blur pass, but it didn't work. So just motion blurred it with the motion blur node because it was slow mo, didn't have a hell of a lot of motion blur anyway, so fuck it, it was fine. There we go. That is the original looking shell. Quite nice. Thank you, Irina. So, if we take a look at the different passes, nothing in the diffuse. Not really. Nope. Right. Bring it all back down. There we go. Bit of specular. Should be anything there. Bit of indirect. That is for the shadows and highlights, which I can't really see in this shot. Shadow. So let's bring you down to the end. And then start disabling some shit so you can see what I've done. There we go. bring it back to the original. So, as you can see, used a shadow here, not a whole lot. It was mainly just a shadow inside on the edge. Wasn't doing a lot for this shot, so I'll just leave that for now. Most of it was in the specular, which were the main highlights. You can see I didn't use the grade node because the color correct node has so many more options to play with, dialing things about, moving shit. So yeah, there we go. See, pumping up the highlights with the gain and so forth. So I spent some time matching that combination of the specular and the indirect specular, which was tricky because every time you lower things you add more contrast because in log it's not meant to be contrasted. It was quick learning curve for me, and it's still pretty slapped together, kind of rough, but we need it for the shop. This was basically just a master bringing down the saturation and contrast overall, and some minor tweaking at the end just to make the past tweaks I've done fit in better because I'm still new to it, as I said, and then scale it up because it didn't quite fit in. It looked a little hollow. If I bring it back, you'll see what I mean. Bring back the footage. Come on, come on. Lower the quality a bit. Hopefully it will fucking render. Come on. So we move it along here. Come on. Give me the barrel. There we go. So if I disable the motion blur, disable the blur, disable the transform, you see it's a little small. Just didn't feel like it really fit in. Felt like it'd be rattling around. Like it should be tight in that barrel, right? So I scaled it up a bit. It looks a big, but I think it worked. It looks snug like that. It looks like it's snug in there. You know what? Okay, I fucked up. Perhaps I could have moved it back a little bit there, but oh well. Now I know. Now I know what to tweak for the next one. Defocus. Bit of motion blur. So you got this green which is coming in from dialing down the specular, which looks a bit weird. I've taken out a lot with the color correct. This is like the master color correct. See a big difference. But really, I came to realise that gold in the shadow has a bit of a green tinge anyway, so it's kind of a natural occurrence. It could use with a little more tweaking, I suppose, but it worked for me. Kind of felt natural. And of course, this is just a masking back over this, so you don't see it coming in. Simple masking. That's the match move reattach so that it fits. Oops. And here is the render of the whole thing. There was a scaling issue from Irene's render, so it pops off a little here at the edge. So basically, in Premiere, when you edit, just scale it up so it still flies off screen nicely. You know, it's not perfect. I have a lot to learn with the 3D passes, but I think as a whole, you know, the green is a bit off. The shadows and the highlights, they feel like they're matching a bit for me. Maybe it's a little too dark, but the highlights feel like it works, and it goes off nice and shiny over here. But it's quite bright on our hand. You can see it quite bright here. So to me, it felt like it worked. At the time, it worked. For a couple hour comp of a new thing, it felt like it was selling enough for me. Rented it out, threw it in, and that was that.